That's something else, man.
It is. I mean, like, you know, our language is created to serve 10%. Okay? But they had to craft the language on older languages. And those older languages, they couldn't actually change the power. And so the written word, as you know, people who were enslaved were not allowed to know how to read and write. Well, why do you think that is?
Exactly. Like one of our lessons say, why does the devil teach and keep our people illiterate? And the answer says, so they could use it for a tool and also as a slave. He keeps them blind to themselves so we can master them. Illiterate means ignorant. You know?
Absolutely.
So,
not knowing. Ignorant means not knowing. So, you know, if we can learn to read and write, I mean, did you ever see the movie Stargate with Kurt Russell? Who made that movie? You know what I'm saying? Like everything about that movie said secret teachings all over it, you know? And big Hollywood film, but you know, it's still the same thing. When people learn to, like what it is you put thoughts down, right? This is a form of telepathy. I put my thoughts on the paper and then you see it and you just read my thoughts. Okay, so we just connected without talking. And so if we can all get on the same page, then there's power in that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why traditionally people who are a part of the counterculture, the counter narratives, whatever those may be, have to write in a language that requires a cipher. You know what I mean? So like supreme alphabet, supreme mathematics. If you know the supreme alphabet and the supreme mathematics and you read my book, it's gonna be entirely different than most people. I mean, I'm curious. You're the only one right now that I know that has done that. So if you could tell me, you know, how that came about for you, I would like that feedback.
In regards to like my perspective of it from that.
Absolutely,
perspective. That's the way that we build with each other because we have that understanding, you know? So even when I was building with you before about how Sufism is, just the secret teachings in terms of communicating in a cipher or just a language that a lot of people don't realize that language had to be coded because it was anti the orthodoxy. You know, you have the average everyday people that are oftentimes sheeple being led to believe what the 10% want them to believe, and they're not really getting access to some of the esoteric perspectives of what's hidden beneath the layers of what oftentimes the church or the orthodoxy didn't even allow them to read.
Totally, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you have these segments of the population that begin to crack that code, they also begin to understand that we have to communicate with one another in such a way where we're not revealing certain things to the general public simply because you'd be persecuted, you know, you would be beheaded. You know, you had instances like that around the world.
And you asked me why, you know, like, why it took me so long. You know? But like, let's say, let's pick a chapter, okay?
Okay.
So chapter 2. Chapter 2 is eternity. Okay, that's the topic of discussion. And in supreme mathematics, 2 is wisdom. Okay, so automatically, if you're a part of the nation gods of earth, right? When you open up to chapter 2 and you see eternity, you're thinking, how is that the same as wisdom?
Exactly.
And right away, you're taken into a whole other level.
Exactly. You know, especially when you're actually learning what you actually wrote in that particular chapter.
Yeah.
You know?
I always thought I spoke backwards. Even just as a kid and growing up and everything. Because when I talk to people, like, a lot of times, before I was able to, like, more so be conscious about how I'm talking and my tone and the words I'm using, I would lose people's attention. Even teachers and you know, so-called authorities on you know, specific subjects. And I always thought, well, I must be long-winded, and so in being somebody that likes to, just play with rhetoric, I thought that it had something to do with me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where I was able to pick up speech patterns and understanding. I mean, I wish I could look back and study verbatim conversations that I had with my grandparents. You know what I mean? Because they're Sicilian, and the secret teachings were all over ancient Sicily. So it could be. I mean, there's definitely like gypsy blood on that side of my family. You know what I mean? Who knows? But the amazing thing to me is that, like, your lineage and my lineage will be considered two entirely different races and cultures. But yet, the language is the same.
Absolutely. And that's one of the beautiful things I love about the book, that it shows mathematics is the universal language. And you don't have many people who are actually able to understand that language. If you have people that understand that language, they're usually artists, because like I said, they're already thinking creatively and critically just about the world around them, which puts them in a position where they're able to see some of the unity in terms of various different systems that they are engaged in. And in terms of the 5%, that's one of the things that we teach, that civilization is for all the human families of the planet Earth. Because when a person is really committed to doing that study of what knowledge itself is, you leave no stone unturned.
Right.
You study all different societies. And one of our perspectives is being Allah, you're Lord of all worlds. So you should be able to come in contact with various different people who is a lord of their world, who is a master at whatever that particular subject area is, or that particular career path, and that would be the best knower when it comes to that. So if I wanted to contact somebody that is into herbology, there's somebody that I can talk to, and they're a master of that world. Somebody else, they may be a master of etymology, where I could just ask them about certain type of words, and they will show you the origin of where all of that comes from.
But you could be a master of nothing, and in so doing, you're mastering everything. So you might not be able to break down the pieces of a plant and say what each piece is called, the scientific term, but you can still explain everything about that plant.